Hey, it's your girl MJ, and welcome to the Booty Call to Bride channel. I'm your girl Michelle Tillman, and today we're talking about Married at First Sight, season 12, episode number 9. I have worked on tons of reality shows right here in the Charlotte area where I'm from, and so I just want to give y'all my 2 cents about this week's episode. Y'all know I always got to start with Paige and Chris because they are just pretty much what all the information is about. So first of all, Paige meets up with Chris's pastor friend. So I guess he reaches out to her and says he wants to meet, and basically talks about how she tells him the stories of everything, like even how he went to Chicago right after the honeymoon. He said he didn't even know that happened, and basically just apologizing, quoting James 1:8, saying that Chris is double-minded and unstable in all of his ways, which that's his friend, but even his friend knows, like, Chris, what is up? What are you doing? Like, this girl is right here and she doesn't deserve any of this that you're doing to her. She's a diamond, like how he said in the last episode. So Paige is basically discussing everything with him, and then she also brings up about how she is not really sure if Mercedes is actually pregnant, but she wanted to like be sensitive about it because, you know, it could be something totally different going on. That's an unfortunate circumstance that she doesn't want to get into, but she was just saying y'all dates don't match up. First she said she was 6 weeks, then she came to a little meeting last week, couldn't really say how many weeks she was, like off the bat. Like, if you were first time mom or you newly pregnant, like, you know how many weeks you are. Then they was talking about she didn't know, he didn't go to the appointment and said that it was going to be like a month later. Instead, that's not how it goes. Like, I've been through a whole stuff trying to bring my beautiful baby to this world. And if you go to the doctor and anything doesn't go right, like, you go back 2 weeks later, you don't go back a whole month later. So I don't even know what that's all about. But again, we don't know the circumstances of what happened. So we're going to leave it at that. So then they start talking about this whole little meeting that she's gonna end up having at the little pool party that Jake had at his house. Brianna's like, you know what? It is so hard to watch this girl keep going back to Chris. Like, if he just requests a meeting, all she gotta say is, well, God, if he tells me to go, then I'm gonna go. Like, she blames so many irresponsible decisions on God telling her to do something. And you're just doing a disservice for anybody who wants to know about God, because don't nobody want to know that God that you talking about. God is not the author of confusion, and Chris is definitely the author of confusion. He is so confused, and he's confusing everybody, and he's playing everybody, and especially playing you. So I just get so irritated when she keeps blaming everything and every meeting and every decision on God, when I just don't feel like those decisions are godly decisions at all. So eventually she is led to go to this meeting with Chris. He comes to the table like, well, I don't really got no new revelations since the last time we talked. And she's like, okay, so what am I here for? And she gets up and switches off, and then the producer's like, wait, Paige, wait. Well, if you done with him, you got to go back over there and tell him you done. And so then she goes back and sits down like, well, you're not going to play me no more, and this, that, and the other. You know, I'm tired of playing these games. And then he says a little sweet something eventually, and it's like she falls right back into his hands. And then they show a little clip of him talking about how he mad at the pastor because the pastor met up with her without telling him first, because he was like, I heard about your little meetings. So he was saying that him and the pastor ain't talking no more because he had to meet with Paige, which I kind of get it a little bit, because you might feel betrayed. But bro, when you wilding out like the way you wilding, what do you expect? You expect your pastor friend to back you doing this woman like this on national TV, and like she says, robbing my chance at marriage and this whole experiment. So, okay, you don't have the pastor friend no more. Are we going to see him anymore the rest of the episodes? I don't know. We'll see about that. So, anyway, she keeps saying at the table, I just showed up to have an honest conversation. But last week, Paige, you said there was nothing else to talk about. So I'm just confused on what what else do you want to hear from Chris? Like, what do you want to hear from him? And I guess she got that because by the end of their little talk, they talking about, well, we're going to have a reset and we're going to start over. She's like, hi, my name is Paige. And he's like, hi, my name is Chris. Corny as all get out. And I'm like, what are y'all doing? Like, this is not how real life works. You don't get to reset and pretend like somebody didn't dog you out, play you to the left. Now that the ex don't want to be with you, now you all back in her face like, girl, don't you see what this Negro doing? Let's just hope that Paige gets it together at some point, because she seems to be so vulnerable. And anything he says, you know, she even believed the fact that he was like, if this was different circumstances, you would be my number one and you would get all the attention. You shouldn't have to feel like you're a choice. Bruh, from the moment she walked down the aisle, you said, she ain't my type. I ain't really attracted to her. So how all of a sudden now you talking about you would have been all in if there was no baby? You was not into her before the baby. So let's not blame the baby for everything, especially if there is no baby. But that's a whole nother thing. Okay, so let's go to Haley and Jacob. They spent a whole lot of time on this episode talking about Haley and Jacob, and they're like so boring. This whole episode was so boring. I was like ready to go to sleep. And like I had put my daughter to bed early. Well, my husband put my daughter to bed early. We was ready, like, and this episode was kind of a snoozer because it was all about Jacob and Haley, I feel like. So they showed a little clip of him asking her, are you physically attracted to me? And she says, I'm not sure. Okay, we know what that means. It means no. But she basically says, well, I'm willing to try. I'm willing to try to move forward. And then last week, her friend was on her like, girl, the only thing wrong with him is he can't dress. So this episode, she busts out with like 12 new shirts that are not graphic tees, by the way. And she looked like she got from Target or something, and had him doing a little runway show, trying on the shirts. He was tucking the shirts in the front of his belt like a cowboy or something. I just don't like. The whole thing with them is this, I just feel like they don't have that connection. And I don't know how else to say it. And please excuse me if this is offensive. Like, he's like hillbilly or like kind of like white trashy, and she's like, you know, bougie white. And they just two different types of white people. And I just don't feel like they don't blend. They just don't mesh. They just in two different types of lifestyles, and they don't go together. Their friends are different, their families are different. I'm not saying that different can't mesh, but I don't feel like she wants to mesh into his type. Like, she's been well traveled and almost lived in Australia for 2 years and got a 2-year visa, but it didn't work out and all this stuff. But they're just not. And he talking about he want to go visit Texas. Then he was like, haha, just kidding. No, bro, you wasn't kidding. You want to go to Texas. So they're just two different types of people, and I don't know how that could possibly work out. And so they had the little love questions that they give all the couples every season. And Haley had asked him a question like, what are the circumstances that made you fall in love before, the person or the things they did? Of course, he didn't even answer the question, right? He started talking about something else. She was like, I said, was it the person or the things that they did? And so then he was like, well, it was the person. So it just seems like who she is and what he needs is not her, and she's not gonna move fast enough to give him what he needs. And at some point he's just gonna give up, because he keeps saying, well, if this isn't there, then, you know, there's no hope for us. Like, he keeps putting that out there, but I think he only got to that point because she kind of like pushed him to that point. So anywho, I just don't think there's any chance that anything with them is gonna work out, even though they're taking the baby steps and trying to keep things lighter. He had a little pool party at his house. His house wasn't as weird as it seemed when he was talking about it at the wedding all the time. I do actually like the little sauna that he had downstairs. I was like, okay, I'll get you a little sauna. I like the pool. The gym looked like a regular old man's gym. It's just all the 80s stuff. That's just weird. And I just think she's just not into that stuff. She tried to build a bear and get him a new outfit and make him feel like, well, has anybody bought you no clothes before? Oh, I'm buying you clothes. You should feel good about it. But like, no, I don't think he feels good about it. I hope he recognizes that she's just trying to make him be what she needs, which plenty of women do that. But I don't know, on national TV, it just might be a little embarrassing when he goes back to see it and realizes, oh, well, my friend said he can't dress, so let me try to fix that. So let's go ahead and go to Ryan and Clara. Bottom line, I just feel like this is what y'all said in the comments, and I don't know who's gonna agree with this or not, but y'all be going in the comments. I love it. Keep the comments coming. Y'all said that Ryan wanted a submissive white lady for his wife, and he got Clara, and he disappointed because she's white and everything, but she's not submissive. She's a pull back type white girl, like a white girl that could probably have some black friends, even though she doesn't, for the show at least. But that's not the type of white girl he thought he was gonna get, so I think he's a little disappointed. And then he's all health conscious and talking about all the vegetables he likes, and she don't care for vegetables. Whole conversation, she's stuffing donuts in her mouth. He's trying to have a serious conversation like, what's your purpose in life? I know that the people before me made a path for me to get the way that I am right now, and she just like, well, I'm just trying to get a check. I mean, it's so many things she could have said about being a flight attendant. I want to travel the world. I want to experience different cultures. I want to be able to, share those experiences with others who are not as fortunate. It's so many things she could have said. Like, I'm thinking about stuff for her that she could have said to be a little more deep, and he is just not getting the intellectual stimulation that he needs from her. So I think it's a long road, but I think they can work it out. But she's also got to be patient on her side because he's not moving forward sexually yet. But I think it's because of the lack of mental stimulation that he feels from her. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Eric and Virginia, well, they're having fun at the golf course, and neither one of them seem to know how to play golf. So not all white people know how to play golf, apparently, clearly. So I just feel like even the way they looked dressed on the golf course, like she had on some leggings and a cami and like a little sweater, and he had on his khakis looking like a pilot with his like a little jacket he had on kind of like this, but it was a Nike one. And it was just like, they're just so different. I think they're gonna work out, but I guess she just feels like he is gonna constantly compare her to his ex. And see, this is where I'm confused, because in the beginning he made it seem like, well, we only got married because of these benefits and we was in the military or whatever. But then now he's saying like, oh, well, she was the best love and I compare her love to everyone else and no one else is caught up. Then he tried to fix it. It's like, until I met you. Yeah, he knew he had to try to fix that. She was like, well, do you feel the love just because we married or because you like really feel the love? He was like, no, I don't feel the pressure just because we're married. But he constantly keeps dropping little things like, well, if she don't do this, then it's done. We're done. If she don't do that, then we're done. So I don't know where he seems to say he's there for the long haul, but is he really? I don't know. I think they will make it. She hasn't seen great examples, and she almost broke down when she started talking about the bad examples that she's experienced in her life. But I think Eric did a decent job of being sensitive to her and what she's went through. He said he was worried about why she did the experiment in the first place, but she kept saying, I did this because I was afraid of rejection, which taking the chance that you could be rejected on national TV is probably way worse than rejected at the club that she probably gets drunk at every week. You could be rejected by those guys and nobody will probably know, but you just put yourself open to be rejected on national TV. I mean, that don't really make no sense to me, but I see what you're saying, I guess. Wonder if one of her little man friends rejected her, or she was scared they would reject her and that's why they're in the friend zone, not because they don't really like her, but that's a whole nother story. Okay, last but not least, Brianna and Vincent. Okay, Vincent, boy, he was getting on my nerves. He was looking all hot, sweaty, and mad at the dance studio. I know they had other stuff they talked about, and he had the little board with the Spanish words on it, and that was cute. But I'm still stuck on the fact of how he was acting at salsa. And I'm just like, bro, you don't know no salsa? You're Dominican and you don't know no salsa? You should have like the rhythm to be able to get down and learn something. He was just like a big baby, like, I don't know how to do it and I'm ready to go. And she's like, what's wrong? Something wrong? He's like, yeah. I'm like, bruh, let's get his friend back from last week so he can tell him about himself again, because I'm just like, why are you acting like such a big baby about this whole thing? So I'm just hoping that he learns to accept and be okay with not being the best at things, not feeling like he's so embarrassed about things that he can't do well, which I get it, because sometimes I don't want to do stuff that I'm not good at. But at the same time, why spoil it and just have an attitude like a big kid because you ain't get the lollipop that you want. Like, I have a hard time with him. So hopefully, you know, they can work things out, because I think they have the chemistry. He just has some little things going on that, like, he's got to figure out, and they got to work to learn and know each other better. And he just needs to be honest, like, hey, I don't want to try nothing new. If that's how you are, just say it so she can stop wasting her time, and then you go and having pity parties and busting a little fit, you know, at your stuff. But anywho, thank y'all so much for watching. Make sure you leave comments down. Let me know what you're thinking. Do you agree? Do you disagree? I can't wait to read what you guys have to say, and I will see you next week. Bye.